In this video, I'm going to be showing you how by just clicking on a PDF, an attacker can gain full control of your computer in less than 30 seconds. So for this setup, there's two VMs, a Windows 11 VM as the victim, and a Kali VM that's going to be our attacker. And this Windows 11 VM is fully up to date with the latest Windows Defender. As you can see, it has all of the protections, and there are no exclusions. Alright, and just to see that it is a PDF and nothing else in this folder, we can check inside of the folder while it's zipped. And as you guys can see here, there is nothing here other than this PDF file. So let's extract it and execute it. So PDF did open, and a few seconds we should get a shell zone. There we go. So if we run a who am I, we see that we are malware test. If we run a who am I on the victim, we are also who am I? We are also malware test. Alright, so now we have initial access, we have user privileges, but now we want to get administrator privileges, dump credentials, and maintain persistence. To do that, we run two sets of commands. This first set of commands, I'll break it down for you, is it's going to download two malware files. This first malware file is the reverse shell malware that will give me a connection back on this listener. Now if I just ran this by itself, it would only give me a connection back with user privileges. So this is where our second malware file comes in. What this does is it utilizes a UAC bypass exploit to execute my first malware with administrator privileges. So now instead of just getting a connection back with user privileges, now I'm going to get a connection back with administrator privileges. And the reason this works is because right now, yes, I have user privileges, but I'm in the administrator group, which is by default on all Windows systems. So if we just run these commands directly into PowerShell, it would get caught by Windows Defender. So we're going to be utilizing a method called PowerShell cradling, which is just going to grab these commands from a remote file and run them directly into memory, which is a lot more stealthy. So this is an obfuscated PowerShell cradle, but think of it as just running these commands. Now, once I run this, we should get a shell here. Alright, we do get a Windows Defender hit right here, but even though it does detect it, as you'll see here, even though it does detect it, we still get a connection back, even if we try to block the threat. Now if we run a who am I, we still are malware test, but if we run a who am I/all, we see that now we have administrator privileges. Now that we have administrator privileges, now I want to start dumping credentials and maintaining persistence. And to do that, we run our second set of commands here. This first command, to break it down, it disables Windows Defender from scanning anything under the user's directory. Now that we disabled Windows Defender, now I can download this credential dumping malware that would otherwise be caught. Our final command, we create a scheduled test that's going to execute my reverse shell malware every time the user logs on with system privileges. And this is so that if the user restarts their computer and we lose that connection, the second they log back on, we gain that connection back. So this is also a form of persistence. And I'm also going to be using the second PowerShell cradle, which will just be running these commands into memory. And just to show you guys, there still are currently no exclusions. Okay, we did get a hit, but I'm not sure what that was about. It does show that the task has been created, so let's go to the public directory and we should see our credential dumping malware here. Okay, this is really weird on Windows Defender is just plugging out. Okay. Well, we have our chrome.exe. Let's execute it. Alright, it should output all the files into, all the passwords into output folder. And now let's compress that. And now we have a nice output.zip file which contains all the passwords and cookies that we just dumped. And now that we have it in a nice zip file, we're going to output those passwords into our machine now. So once we run this command, we should see a password.zip file right here. And let's extract it. We get the passwords, and here's all the passwords. Cookies and cookies for Chrome. Alright, and there's one final thing I do want to show you guys, and that's that what if the user just restarts their computer. Now initially, we do lose access, as you guys can see. And there we go, get a connection. If we do /all, we see that we are anti-authority system now. So this is even higher privileges than administrator. As you can see, we have all the privileges. And just to check that we are on the same system as the victim, if we run an ipconfig, we see that we have the same Ethernet adapter Ethernet 0 and the same Ethernet adapter Ethernet 1 IPs. And that's how, by you just clicking on a PDF file, an attacker can gain full control of your device. Now in the beginning of the video, I did say less than 30 seconds, but I was explaining the process, so it did take longer than that. But now I'm going to show you how I would do it in less than 30 seconds. So as I'm listening for a connection, before even I get one, I press enter, I paste it in this command, and I press enter again. So what this is going to do is, the second I get a connection, it's going to automatically run this command, which will give me a shell here. Once I get a connection here as admin, then I run these commands automatically. And just to quickly go through it, this is a PowerShell cradle that will run these commands. I'm going to remove this because I already ran it down there. Which is going to download this credential dumper and disable Windows Defender. Then it'll go to the public folder, which is where the credential dumper is. It's going to execute that credential dumper. It's going to zip the output of it. It's going to download that into my desktop right here. And finally, it's going to create that scheduled task. And just so you guys can see, right now they're only the default scheduled tasks. And if we go to Windows Defender, all the security measures are still on, and there are currently no exclusions. So let's execute the file. So PDF open, then in a few more seconds we should get a shell here. Yep, we got a shell and it's instantly running that command. Now, like previously, we also got a hit, but doesn't make a difference. We still get a connection here. Yeah. Even if we press no, it doesn't make a difference. Executes that credential dumper, compresses it, downloads it, creates that scheduled task, and boom. Now I have our passwords.zip. And just so you guys see, it's that same thing. My passwords. Alright, now let's restart the computer. Alright, so I got a shell back, and this time we're anti-authority/system. So if we do /all, we have even more privileges than admin, but we still are on the same computer. If we run an ipconfig, and if we run one on the victim, we see that it has the same IPs. Alright, thank you guys for watching this video. There is one final thing I do want to show you, and that's that how can this PDF file actually execute malware. So if we check the properties, we see that it doesn't actually execute a PDF. It executes conhost, which then executes PowerShell, and it runs this base64 encoded command. So as you guys can see, it's obviously not an actual PDF.